Yo, it's your boy DZ, man. You already know it's not about the setback, it's about the get back. I want to appreciate everyone that's became a member, that subscribed to the channel, and that watches the channel. I appreciate y'all. If you haven't already, hit that notification bell. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we go live. I appreciate all of y'all that rock with me, and I hope y'all continue to rock with me. What's poppin', fam? I appreciate all y'all, man. If you haven't already smashed that like button, hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button. Share the live. Yeah. What's poppin'? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? We back at it. For sure. And one of them days, I felt like chilling. But we here. Big facts. We here. So the brother that escaped from the New Orleans jail, he was captured today. And he was on the run for 145 days. He was on the run for 145 days, man. And they grabbed him up in Atlanta. Yeah. People escape from jail and don't go nowhere. Literally. People escape from jail and stay right here. You're supposed to get up out of here if you really trying to move on, because eventually they're going to catch you. And we knew it was a matter of time, but 145 days is a long time on the run. I can't lie about that. 145 days is a long time on the run. But I mean, he was supposed to try to get to the border or something. Definitely didn't have a plan. The plan was to lay in the crawl space and hide out when they come. Like as if they was never gonna come. So I really think that if you are gonna escape from jail, that you have some type of plan. I'm just being real. Have some type of plan. Hit that like button too. And hit the subscribe button. Have some type of plan, man. If you gonna get out, don't think that you gonna go stay at your people's crib and don't nobody ever find you. Straight up. It don't work like that, man. They think that they gonna go to such and such in them crib and ain't nobody gonna ever find you. Straight up. He said that nigga wanted one more quarter pounder with cheese. Like, dude, he had a run, but damn, what was the plan? Just to hide out? That's the thing. It costs money to be on the run. It costs somebody money to take care of you on the run. They got to feed you every day. They got to make sure that you got a roof over your head. Somebody got to pay for this. I don't think jokers be mindful of that, man. Hit that like button too. And hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Hold up. Let me pull it up when he got locked up. Yeah, let me pull it up when he got locked up. Hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. You know I appreciate y'all. Big facts. I'm gonna pull it up on there. Yes, I am. What's poppin' though? We're gonna pull it up. Let's talk about it. We're gonna talk about it, man. Facts. We're gonna talk about it. Nehemiah, what's poppin'? Shay, what's poppin'? Jam Meeks, what's poppin'? C Brown, what's poppin'? Run the table, what's poppin'? RM, what's poppin'? Shout out to all y'all that rock with SBGB TV. Superfly, what's poppin'? Shout out to all y'all, man. If you would like to become a member, it's only $3.99. Light work. You hear me? Light work. Yeah, let me get it up here though. Subscribe to the channel, man. Yes, sir. Subscribe to the channel, man. Yes, sir. Let's see what they say here. Hold up. Let's see what they say here. All right. Let's see what we got. This from bro got locked up. They caught him. He was talking shit on his way in.
On my soul, sure they ain't on my block. On my soul, he wasn't up the screen. Boy, if I would have known already, I would have told on your ass, boy. Hey, boy, don't blow no kiss at me. They gonna be blowing kisses and pulling Kennedy too, boy. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Your ass know how to play hide and seek, though, on my soul. But, hey, who got that money? Who the one that snitched on it? On my soul, sure they...
Hey, man, I don't think he's really worried about Fulton County. You know, that man was looking at a couple homicide charges. He's not worried about the jail. They caught him now, but I mean, I'm sure he wasn't worried about, you know, Fulton County though. Not at all. Dude talking about they gonna be worried about you in Fulton County. I don't think he was worried about Fulton County. Let me see here. Yeah, they escaped 145 days ago. What's that? 30, 60, 90, 120. So that's 4 months and 20 days. It was damn near 5 months. It was damn near 5 months he was on the run. Yeah, he was running. Damn near 5 months, you hear me? Yeah, he was running down there 5 months. And got caught. Shit happens. Yeah. You only can run for so long, though. You know what I'm saying? Niggas don't want to go nowhere. Let me see. You know, it's some people that have made it way out the country somewhere and they never had to face the consequences. That should have been the plan. You know, man, let me get up out of here. Let me try to go. I would have at least tried to live on the land in another country somehow. You know, because he was stuck in the house. He couldn't go nowhere. He couldn't move. Hey, you stuck in the house. You can't go nowhere. Stuck. Can't enjoy the outside. It's like, yeah. And now, when they lock him up, right? When they take him back, he gonna be somewhere in like a supermax. You ain't getting no air because they gonna think that you might try to escape again. So they gonna make sure that they got a close hold on you and they ain't giving you no room to get out at all. Nigga, ain't no room to get out. Negative. You locked down. Hell, close. They gonna give him 23 and 1, maybe 23 and a half hours. Just go ahead out for a half hour and you shackle. Because we don't want you to get away like you did. You know? They don't want him to get away like he did, man. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, man. Yeah. They don't want him to get away like he did. For sure. Let me see here. Hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Let me see here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's see what we got here. It says, hold up. Let's see what we got here. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button too. So let me pull this joint up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. Y'all know what it is, man. We getting it popping. We getting it popping, man. And we in the building. Yeah, we here. Done too much was popping. JR gets bread was popping. What's popping? Let me pull this other joint up right here, man. Shit we got here. How I escape New Orleans. Let's see what we got here. Hold on. Let me put this up here, y'all. Voila. You hear me? Magic. Voila. All right, so it says a 5-month manhunt for Derrick Groves, the last of 10 inmates who escaped from a New Orleans jail in mid-May, ended Wednesday afternoon after a tip led federal law enforcement to a crawl space in Atlanta, home investigators say. Deputy U.S. Marshal Brian Fair of the Eastern District of Louisiana told CBS News that Grove, convicted of a 2018 double murder. So he was already convicted. Yeah, I mean, he had to run. He was already convicted. He had no choice but to run out of there. Yeah, he was already convicted of a double homie. Yeah, he had to run. He had to get up out of there. Was arrested shortly after 2 p.m. following a coordinated operation between the U.S. Marshals Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force and the Atlanta Police Department SWAT team. The arrest stemmed from a Crime Stoppers Greater New Orleans tip received earlier this summer that pointed investigators toward the Atlanta area. Fair declined to specify when the tip came in, citing safety concerns and the need to protect the informant. So this person was a straight informant, huh? Hold up. This person was a straight raw informant. Okay. We've been receiving tips all summer. He said, we don't want to get somebody hurt or anything, so we're not putting the exact time frame of when the tip came in. After weeks of follow-up work, marshals in Louisiana pushed out a lead to counterparts in Georgia. Officers executed a search warrant at a home in the Atlanta area that investigators believe Rose may have been staying in for some time. Ferris said it was possible a rental home, but added there's a lot of follow-up work that'll be done on this to answer those questions. At first, it appears the house was empty normally during our fugitive work. we have at least some signs that the person is at the house. Movement, running, something, Ferris said. This did not happen. Investigators deployed gas into the home multiple times, including into the basement, before discovering Groves hiding inside a narrow crawl space. We did have concerns maybe he wasn't in the house, Ferris said, but ultimately they found him hiding in the crawl space. I believe that crawl space was in the basement, and he had put some thought and work into the hiding space he was in. Ferris said Grove appeared prepared to hide for a long haul and may have reinforced the space himself. He was taken into custody without injury, and no weapons were recovered at the scene, though a further search of the residence is now underway. Authorities are still piecing together how Groves traveled from New Orleans to Atlanta, whether he received assistance, and how long he had been in Georgia. I'd probably guess he traveled by car, but we don't know. Ferris said that's going to be a part of the follow-up work that's going to be done now that he's in custody. Ferris said Groves was believed to be a ringleader in the May 16 jailbreak from the Orleans Parish Justice Center, in which inmates pulled a jail cell door off the track, removed a toilet from an empty cell, and crawled through a hole in a wall before scaling a fence. Brazen escape exposed design flaws and security failures in the 10-year-old jail. Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson told CBS News earlier this year, all 10 escapees have now been captured. The U.S. Marshal credited a coalition of agencies, including the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, Homeland Security Investigations, FBI, and the Atlanta Police for their role in the investigation. Fair also credited media coverage and public engagement for keeping attention on the case. I didn't hear nothing really about the case after for a while. He was bombarded on the news for months on end. Ferris said the media was a huge part in his capture. It kept him on the run and probably pretty tired all summer. Jail records in Fulton County, Georgia show Groves was booked on fugitive from justice charges. Groves is expected to be extradited to Louisiana, where he will face additional charges related to the escape. Ferris said Louisiana State Police are likely to lead the transfer. We're just happy nobody got injured. Ferris said all 10 escapees are back in custody, and we're proud of that success. Man, I didn't see too much coverage about this in a while. You know, since they caught the last guy, I ain't see too much coverage. You know, since they caught the other guy, they was the last two on the run for a minute. But yeah, I knew they was going to eventually catch him. You know, you can't run for so long. But he did have a good run, and I'm sure that's probably going to be the last time that he's ever going to see his freedom. You know, because he got the cases that he had been convicted of. So I think anybody would have definitely ran in that situation, if we just being honest. Yeah, like I gotta go. Like, hold up, I ain't gonna just sit here and I got a way out knowing I'm never getting out. So yeah. Thankful he didn't go left and had to hurt nobody while he was on the run. You know. So let me see. Hold on. Hit that like button, though. Let me see. Hold on. Okay. Let's do this. Let's switch this over here. Hold on. Hit that subscribe button. Oh yeah, hold on. Hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that like button. Let me see here. Hold up.
You know, we saw at least 2 massive armored vehicles that were being taken away from that scene when we first joined you all live on the air about 40 minutes ago. They were just starting to leave after taking him back into custody. Can we show that video again? Can we re-rack that video of him in the car? At least that's who we think it is in the car. And now we're hearing from Brian Fair that he was alone in the house. So it's reasonable to assume that this is Derrick Groves in the back of this police cruiser. We heard from our reporters at the scene that he was taken out in handcuffs, that he walked away from the scene. And as Brian Fair just mentioned, no one was hurt in taking him back into custody. So a huge cooperative effort, both on the part of the U.S. Marshals and these multiple law enforcement agencies, both here in New Orleans and in Atlanta. And you can see, I'm curious to hear what he was shouting outside of the car.
There's got to be some audio somewhere. We'll get that, of course. I mean, you talk about the collaborative efforts here, Katie. Another really big part of that you heard Brian talk about is the community. Had it not been for tips through Crime Stoppers, would we be here today?
Yeah, absolutely.
He said, thanks to those tips, this is one of the ones that panned out that helped lead officers and authorities to this home in Southwest Atlanta to finally get Derrick Groves back in custody.
Yes, and as he mentioned, you know,
Smash that
and
like
you mentioned,
button.
Mike, there are many people who have been affected by the crimes that Derrick Groves has been convicted of committing. You know, he was in the Orleans Justice Center waiting for his sentencing, at which point he would be transferred to a Louisiana State Penitentiary. Now, all the other inmates who have been recaptured have been taken to Angola, to the Louisiana State Penitentiary. It's reasonable to assume that if he is brought back here to Louisiana, that is where he would be housed, instead of being brought back to the Orleans Justice Center until he awaits additional charges, one would assume.
I would think so.
He definitely has some help. You know, we know that. He definitely has some help. And they already said if they find out anybody was helping any of them, they're going to charge him. So, you know, they're going to look into who was renting that crib, how did he get to the house? And somebody gonna answer something. You know, they got a tip where he was at, so it had to be somebody letting them know who he was with. Yo, he was such and such. So yeah, somebody gonna have to answer to that.
So I would think so.
Escape charges and, you know, all of those things that the other inmates have also faced. Now, there are going to be some questions for people in that community in Atlanta, here in New Orleans, whether or not there were people who assisted in his escape and assisted in keeping him on the run for the last 5 months. You would think that he would have had to have had help. So I know that they have not shown much mercy to the people who have been involved in doing just that with the other escapees. So as this investigation continues, you would think that those are all of the threads that they're going to continue to pull, and that there is a possibility, as we heard from Brian Fair, that there could be some more additional arrests as this investigation continues.
And of course, the news of this arrest reaching right into the district attorney's office here in Orleans Parish. And I'll read a little bit of a small little quote from the Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams. He says, quote, "We will pursue every available legal avenue to ensure that Derrick Groves answers for every crime he has committed and every consequence he has sought to avoid." Now, considering what's happened in over 5 months, that list of charges and the crimes, alleged crimes, is probably going to grow at this point.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There is no doubt that he will be charged with additional crimes. DA Jason Williams is actually having a press conference, or he was scheduled to, at 2 o'clock this afternoon on something unrelated. I'm thinking that we will likely go to that news conference live unless something else is unfolding, to hear from the DA and from some other law enforcement agencies, because there were supposed to be additional agencies at that same news conference. So hopefully they can give us a little more insight into how this played out. But we did hear a lot of new detail from Brian Fair. He said that it's a house on Honeysuckle Street in Southwest Atlanta, that they had responded about 2 hours earlier, that they used gas in order to try and get Groves out of the house. They weren't even sure at first whether or not Groves was actually there, whether or not anyone was at the home, but they were following up on a tip that Crime Stoppers here, Greater New Orleans Crime Stoppers, received, and that led them to this house on Honeysuckle Street in Southwest Atlanta. After that 2-hour plus sort of standoff, I wouldn't necessarily call it, a true SWAT situation where someone was threatening someone and it was a standoff. I think they were waiting to go in to make sure that someone was in there and that everything was safe in order to try and get him. But where they found him was in a crawl space under the house as he was trying to hide from law enforcement officers once he realized that he had been found.
I mean, on the run for 5 months now, that's someone who doesn't want to be caught. So he's going to try to hide as best as he can. And we still don't know what connection he has to that actual house in Southwest Atlanta, whether he knows the occupant or the homeowner, or I don't know whether it was abandoned at this point.
I don't know. I mean, one of the escapees was at an Airbnb. So, it could be an Airbnb. We just don't know. That's one of the many things that I think we're going to be asking questions about as we start to hear from more law enforcement officers and agencies that were involved in this capture. This is a big win for them, given that no one was injured. They took him into custody safely without incident. And so now we're going to have to wait and see both where he has been throughout that time. They're going to try and question him. Whether or not he's going to speak with law enforcement is a question. It's obviously his right not to, especially without an attorney present. And I assume that will be the next step that's taken.
Ain't too much for him to speak about, man. The man did 145 days on the street. He got a life sentence in front of him. Ain't nothing. Talk about what? Ain't nothing for us to talk about. You got me. It's over. We don't need to discuss anything. I'm thankful that I was free, but ain't nothing for us to talk about at all. SBGB TV, live call-in show. What's poppin'?
What's poppin' in Miami?
What's good with you, bro?
Ain't too much, man. He had a good run, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He had a good run. But you wasn't running like your life depended on it, though. You feel me?
He should have got up out of the area, the states, somewhere else.
You was running like you was running from your ops or something. You feel me?
Yeah.
You wasn't running like you just escaped life. You feel me?
Because he would have got up out of the states.
You got to get to a country. You feel me? You got to go Jamaica, Mexico. You feel me?
Somewhere where you going to at least have a chance.
Thing about it, though, you hit it on the head. Take money, man. Feel me?
They escaped from jail. Everybody broke. And y'all just looking for somebody to try and help y'all hide. And you just hiding on the streets.
Nah. That shit for big time people with money stacked up on the streets where you could go pick up 100, 200 racks and bounce. You feel me? 50 racks and bounce. That's not for people who can't even, you feel what I'm saying? Like,
people that's mad that they couldn't take the commissary money with them. Man, I wish I could have had that money from commissary.
Yeah, they took their store with them.
Yeah.
When they escaped. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he take his store with him when he get released. Nah, listen, you need money to run. You feel me? And you need cash. It ain't even about having money in the bank. Now, you need actual physical cash, man, because everywhere you go, you're going to need to spend some cash. You feel me? You can't swipe no cards. They own all that. You feel me?
Yeah.
So you need real deal cash. And I would have changed my appearance up and all type, and he looked the same. I'm like, he looked the exact same, bro. Like, you shit, I would have got some fake dreads, long ass dreads too. You feel me? With all this new stuff they got going on, man, that would have been easy, but it take money for that. You feel me?
Hey, listen, I'm gonna give a secret out, right? You know what I mean? If somebody was to escape from somewhere, I just gotta be real, because I know somebody that did it. They didn't escape, but they was on a run. They wore a garb. You got to garb up, because can't nobody tell you to take the garb off.
The garb?
Yeah, for like, how the Muslim women wear the garbs.
Okay, right.
Yeah, they can't tell you to take the garb off. So I know somebody that had a body and they was running around with the garb on, they was still trying to go get the other witness. And, eventually they got caught, but didn't nobody know where they was at for a minute because they had the garb on. So if somebody on a run, if he would have had a garb on and went to go towards another country, he might have had a shot. But sitting around with, yourself being regular, I don't think there's no way that you can get up out of there.
Facts. And the thing, you got to drive into these places. You got to drive in because they don't check you going in. They only check you coming back. So you could have drove into Mexico. You feel me? They got plugs in Mexico to get you anywhere else. Once you're in Mexico, you good. You feel me?
He wasn't thinking about that. Money too funny.
The money too funny. And then when you're on the run, you got to cut people. See, hold on. It's a difference between being on the run and escaping. Them two different runs. You feel me?
Yeah.
When you on the run, they kind of looking for you, but you ain't like, you feel me? It's like, if we see you, bro. But
yeah.
They looking for your ass, bro.
You done broke
around
the system.
The clock. Hey, listen, around the clock, they got a phone number for your ass. You feel me? They got money on you. You feel me?
You done broke the system.
Listen. Whoever called in, they wanted that bread. They like, listen, man, we can get 20,000. He's across the street right now. Just call. You feel me?
It was up to 20. That's it.
It was only 20,000.
Okay.
But 20,000 for somebody that seen the dude across the street. You know what I'm saying? They like, but here's where people mess up at. Sometimes they just call the police. You supposed to call the actual people who said they got 20 for bro. You feel me?
Yeah, because they be trying to beat people with that stuff too.
There you go.
Yeah, they act like they don't want to pay the people for what they did.
There you go. Because some people just call 911. They're like, oh, if you read the fine print, it say you got to call this exact number. You feel me?
Yeah.
And they don't be getting their bread. So, you know what I'm saying? But I think it was just somebody who just, they just needed the money, man. They seen the dude and stuff. And another thing, this girl, I seen her on the gram. She was saying, and y'all thought that picture I posted him working at the store was AI. Have you seen that picture of him working at the store?
Nah, I gotta look that one up.
They had him working in the store as a girl. You feel me?
Oh.
And the chick took a picture of it, but I seen her say something on the internet like, and y'all thought my picture was AI. It was really him. I knew it. You feel me?
And it was in Atlanta too?
It was in Atlanta.
Okay, yeah. So he had a job and everything.
Nigga ain't got a job on them people. Hiding in plain sight. You feel me?
Yeah, he snapped.
But if you know you never getting out, your run got to be a little bit more better than that. That's just what I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of got to get going with it's impossible with no money.
Yeah. It's impossible to be in the United States, with an escape. You like you said, from the difference of escaping and being on the run. On the run, he might could have changed his appearance and lasted a little long, because they usually catch them dudes, even if they last 20, 30 years later, something happened.
Right.
Yeah, but if he gonna get up out of there, he was supposed to go all the way to another country to try to, live modest somewhere else.
Yeah, and you living in Atlanta where it's majority black people, everybody's up on what's going on the internet. You know what I'm saying? There's too many people. You're supposed to go somewhere out. You know what if you're gonna stay in the States, go somewhere where everybody ain't actively, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta know how to get little. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody get cut off. I don't know nobody. I mean, all new people, if anything.
Yeah.
Like, you feel me? Like, you starting off literally fresh. There, nobody knows nothing. You feel me?
Yeah, ain't no way that I'll be wanting to have any ties with anybody I know, because, somebody might be looking for that paper. They get to struggling. I need a bump, and here go the bump, man. You go ahead back to jail. You be all right.
Yeah, you was gonna go back anyway. Let me just get the money. I know exactly where you at. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
That's how you get. You feel me? And somebody seen him at the house, and they was just like, man, just call today. They was probably contemplating all week. You feel me?
They wanted to make sure they went at the right time.
And they just called on his ass. And then he had that man-made crawl space. He been planning for this. He's like, look, if they ever bump, I'm just gonna, you feel me?
Run in here.
He didn't think they was coming with the whole force. You know what I'm saying? But come on, bro. You escaped. You not just got a warrant. Nigga, you gotta escape. You feel me?
They underestimate that stuff. When people be doing stuff like that, they totally like underestimate what's gonna come because they want you. They look like a fool for you getting out.
Man, I don't even think he got a toilet in his room. He don't got a door. He's standing in the middle of the day room like they got that dude, so he don't got no privileges. You feel me?
Man, they probably got him in the butt naked room. Straight
Yeah, they got
padded joint, hole in the floor. That's where you go to the bathroom at.
Yes, sir. They got you in the, and they took him straight to the pen. He ain't even sentenced yet. You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get no more county time. No, sir.
Yeah.
You know, we got you straight in Angola. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I would have somehow gotten contact with Vlad while I was on the run. You feel me? He had
offered some
racks
paper.
for you.
Yeah.
You feel me? Vlad got 40,000 to hear what you got going on. You feel me?
Yeah.
But see, I don't know if that would have been harboring a fugitive by paying them for an interview. You know what I'm saying? So
man, Vlad would have told. Vlad would have got the interview and dropped it down.
There you go. He would have told Vlad the police.
Yeah.
You feel me?
He would have got the interview, gave the
and
nigga the
paid
bag.
You with the money.
Yeah. It got the interview. He'd have paid you with the money they gonna give him to turn you in and got banked off of dropping the interview.
Oh shit.
Yeah. That's where his money would have came in clipping this interview up.
He would have clipped his joint up for every week he was out. It would have been, you feel me?
Yeah.
That would have been the smartest thing though to get with Vlad for an interview. That would have got you some instant money. You feel me?
Yeah, he would at least got some paper from it.
He got some paper real quick. He could have moved around, you know what I'm saying? And but Vlad would have turned his ass on in.
You know me? It.
Vlad,
he right here. This where he at.
I got his IP address. Here you go.
Bingo.
That guy is IP, baby. That's my car, though.
Appreciate you calling in. Yeah, man. The line is open, man. Let me know what y'all feel about dude that was on the run, man. How y'all feel about that? Do y'all feel what he did running from the jail was smart? You know, he looking at life. He didn't get sentenced yet, but he was convicted. Would you have ran? If you know you about to get sentenced to a life bit, would you have got up out of there? Man, I'm getting up out of here too. I ain't gonna lie. Man, I would have too. Man, I'd have got up out of there. Knowing I'm going to do life in the can, man, I would have got straight up out of there. I'd have had to. It's over. Like, what I'm going to do? It's it. I'm out of here. Man, let me know, man.
That they will get him to a police station there in Atlanta and try and question him to see if there were people who actually did aid in his escape and aid in his ability to be on the lam for 5 months.
And we know that was the case for so many of the other inmates.
Yes.
I mean, we have seen so many people be arrested and charged in connection with this escape who were not inmates. They were just friends of, family of,
girlfriends of.
So I would greatly assume that that's going to be the case with Derrick Groves as well.
Oh, we know that's going to be the case, right? But I want to know, would one of y'all have helped him? If it was your family, somebody you dealt with, would you have helped that man? Or would you have like, man, you got to figure it out on your own? You know, and I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm keeping it a buck. I wouldn't have helped him. I don't care if you my family or not. You got out. You got to figure it out. Do your thing. And my best wishes to you. But ain't no way that I would have put my life in jeopardy of me having bills, responsibilities, and the things I got going on to help you. Straight up. That's just me. I wouldn't have helped nothing. You figure it out, bro. You know what I'm saying? And don't call me, man. Because I don't want to alter my life. So you think about it. The people that did help him, they didn't alter their life. because now they done got charges. They might be held without bail. You never know what they wanted to do, being as though that they knew it was another person still on the run. So the other people that got picked up along the way, they like, man, this case still open. I'm locking everybody up until we get everybody. Straight up. So just me personally, man, I ain't got no help for you. I ain't gonna lie. You got to figure that one out. I'm not going to turn you in, but I'm not assisting you. You ain't messing up what I got going on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hell no.
You would think so. I mean, to stay hidden for 5 months, to get across state lines, you would think that he would have had to have had help. But we don't know the answer to that yet. Mm-hmm. And I know that is a very active and ongoing investigation, just from hearing from my law enforcement sources. So still much more to come on that front in the days and weeks to come. But right now, we really are just focused on the fact that Derrick Groves was just taken into custody in Southwest Atlanta around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Law enforcement officers, Atlanta police, the U.S. Marshal Service there in Atlanta found him hiding in a crawl space in a house on Honeysuckle Street.
And we do have a reporter from Atlanta joining us now live to kind of talk about the scene. Hey there, how are you?
Hi, guys. Yeah, I want to take you right to the house because we are standing directly in front of the house that you can see SWAT broke the door down to. They broke the garage door down to. And this is where we are told Derrick Groves was hiding. That convicted murderer, it appears, seemed to have been existing in the garage space as well. You probably can't see it from around the tree, but we were pushed a little bit further back when they put up the crime scene tape. However, you can see a bed frame inside that garage. So it was clear somebody was living in that space as well. I spoke with some neighbors earlier off camera when we were seeing Derrick Groves getting taken away in the car, and they were telling us that they noticed people standing in front of the window, looking out the window. She said there was just some suspicious activity. I spoke with a little older woman across the street, and she told me that she had noticed every time she went out to go to her mail, somebody was staring at her from across the way, looking through the blinds and just watching her. So at this point, neighbors say there was some suspicious activity going on for at least a month. Again, we know Derrick Groves was on the run now for 6 months, but a very scary situation for these neighbors here as well.
Oh, yeah. So it was people in the crib looking out the window, watching outside. They was like they was in jail. They living in the crib like they locked up. So you better know it's going to be some other people that they charge from that house, especially with the neighbors saying that people looking out the crib. Oh, yeah, they going to charge some other people. Facts.
And like you said, he was taken into custody at about 1 o'clock this afternoon. About 2:30 is when we saw the Atlanta police vehicle drive away. SWAT wrapped up. There is still a bit of a presence here, but it is certainly not like it was earlier. We saw the SWAT truck going out that way. We saw Atlanta police vehicles going in a different direction as well. So at this point, he is taken into custody. They left the scene at about 2:30. We saw Derrick Groves outside of that cop car, and then inside that cop car, he was actually yelling things from the back of the Atlanta police vehicle. Couldn't hear exactly what he was trying to say, but he was yelling out to the news crews that were here on scene.
Yeah, Marissa, while we still got you, that was going to be my question. If you could make out any of the words that he was yelling from that cruiser, because we can see that he was yelling them.
No, we really couldn't hear. We were trying to film it. I'm going to go back and listen to that video because we have it on 3 different cameras here for our news station. So we are going to go back and try and isolate the audio and hear exactly what he said. But we could tell he was certainly trying to get the crew's attention because he was yelling out the left side of the vehicle as the crews were over there. And then as the car turned around and police were taking him off, we could see him move to the right side of the vehicle, started yelling again through the bars of those windows. So he has something to say. We're just not sure exactly what it was at this point.
Yeah, inquiring minds want to know what he had to say as he was on his way out. We did hear from U.S. Marshal Service here in New Orleans that he was not injured. No one was injured in this operation, which I think is something to be thankful for.
Yeah, certainly. And the neighbors that I spoke with tell me that this was going on since about 9 o'clock this morning. But to your point, nobody else was injured. Nobody was injured in this situation. They tell me it was really quiet. They actually didn't realize what was happening. But the one woman I spoke with said at about 9 o'clock, the officers were here. She didn't realize what was going on. And at 10:30, she tried to leave her home, the neighbor directly across the street from where this went down. And she says the officers immediately told her, get back in your home, get back inside, like get into safety. And again, she did not realize that there was a fugitive living across the street from her until all of this came out.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So it has to be such a disconcerting feeling to know that after this happened, that somebody was living next door who's an escapee from New Orleans, and he has been convicted of murder.
Yeah, and she said she noticed him, as we know, he was on the run for about 5 months, but she says she noticed him really for the last month. Again, couldn't identify him, didn't know who it was, but said she did also notice cars going into the back of the house, never parking in the driveway. Another neighbor told me the same thing. He also never noticed any cars in the driveway, which is abnormal, especially when you notice people inside the home. So if you're seeing somebody, like she said, looking at you through the blinds of your windows, and then you're noticing that there are never any cars in the driveway, she just said she knew something was wrong. She didn't know what it was.
And Marissa, one of the questions we were talking about earlier is, was this home abandoned? Was someone living in it? We look behind you and you showed us the house. I mean, the lawn seems to be well kept. There's landscaping seems to be kept up as well. Did neighbors talk about who was living there or whether they knew their neighbors?
So one of the women that I spoke with, one of the neighbors that lived across the street, she said that the house was sold a few years ago. She does not believe the owners that have owned it for the past few years were living in the house. She believes it was a rental. She does not know who the renters are. She said that she had been in the home a few years ago, back when she knew the owners were staying here. But as of recent, she said it has been renters to her knowledge, and she doesn't know them. And I know the shot's going to be a little bit shaky, but if I can, I'm going to have my photographer, Nicholas, pick up the camera. If you guys will just bear with us. And I want to bring you over here because you really can see through the garage, and it's a better angle. So if Nicholas, I know I'm asking a lot here, but through the garage, you can see what I'm talking about. The bed frame is there on the left-hand side. You can see the door through the back of that garage. It looks like somebody was living in this space. And one of the neighbors also told me he heard it this morning when SWAT knocked down the door. You could hear it down the street, knock down that garage door that you're looking at, as well as the front door of the home that you saw earlier.
Wow, that's really interesting. It's also interesting to me that he's been living there for a month, that the neighbors have noticed him there for a month. And I'm curious to know who ended up giving Crime Stoppers that tip that ultimately landed law enforcement on his doorstep.
Right. We're not sure at this point. We're learning information as you guys are. So a lot coming out. We got sent to the scene at about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and we were here for when they took him away in the police car. But a lot of the legwork on this morning, we were not here for. I'm not even sure that all neighbors understood the severity of this. Most of them told us that they just realized it was the fugitive from from New Orleans here in Atlanta when we were talking to them within the last 30 minutes. So they were unaware of the scope of this at this point.
All right. Thank you so much for all that great information. That's Marissa Starback with our sister station 11 Alive in Atlanta. And hopefully we'll talk to you again in a little bit as we all continue to try to get for more information on this. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Interesting information coming out of that report.
And just to see that house.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like a nice neighborhood. Hearing from witnesses that he was sort of peeking through the windows sometimes to see what was going on in the neighborhood.
Unless somebody else was in the house with him.
Yeah, and they noticed him for over a month now at that house.
They also may not have known who he was.
Right.
No, he was wanted in Orleans Parish out of Louisiana for escaping prison.
Yeah. But it's interesting if he's been in that same location for that amount of time and how much he's been moving around, from Atlanta to different parts of the country. Witnesses at the scene made it sound like law enforcement officers got there at around 9 o'clock this morning, that they were there for a couple of hours, trying to get who they believed was Derrick Groves out of that house. It took some gas, being thrown into that house. Yes. And then obviously they broke down the garage door, broke down the front door, had to find him actually inside the house, and they found him in a crawl space. So I think he was hoping that law enforcement would break in, that they wouldn't find him, and that he would be able to once again get away. Obviously that didn't happen. And then something else interesting, Mike, is that we saw him screaming, and you heard Marissa there talking about how he was definitely trying to get himself heard as he was going away in that police car.
Right.
moving from side to side, trying to get the camera's attention as they were driving away with him. But we just haven't been able to kind of slow it down and figure out exactly what he was saying at this point.
Marissa said she's going to go back and watch that video just to see if she can kind of get a clue in and hear what he was actually screaming from both sides of the police unit there. But of course, now we know that is Derrick Groves, who has been caught there in Southwest Atlanta after 5 months. We're almost 5 months to the day.
Yeah, almost.
But the 15th, 16th of May, whenever that happened, and here we are on the 8th. So we're almost to that point. So
almost there.
It's a big sigh of relief for everybody back here in Orleans Parish. Because we never knew where he was.
Right. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he had to do it. Ain't no way that he was gonna pass that opportunity up. Knowing it's over, it's life. There ain't no way he's passing that up. Man, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Yeah. Ain't no way he's passing that up.
Sheriff's just move a little more. Darlene, you come in a little. Okay.
We are waiting for came from New Orleans. Credible information
I'm Colonel Robert
about his
Hodges,
whereabouts. Let's take a
Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. Almost 5 months ago, most of us in this same room met to discuss 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Parish Justice Center. We all had one focus: to capture the 10 escapees. Collectively, federal, state, and local law enforcement worked together seamlessly to locate and arrest these fugitives. Together, we leveraged investigative tools, technology, and good old-fashioned police work. Although many weeks have gone by, our 10th fugitive, Groves, remained at large. Law enforcement never lost sight during the investigation and our responsibility to bring a violent criminal back to prison. In early October 2025, task force personnel learned that Derrick Groves was likely in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Through information gathered via multiple search warrants and other investigative means, detectives obtained digital evidence that Derrick Groves was at a residence in Atlanta. Today, with the assistance of numerous law enforcement agencies, including the Atlanta Police Department and the U.S. Marshal Service, search warrants were executed at a residence in Southwest Atlanta where Derrick Groves was ultimately taken into custody. I want to personally thank the FBI, ATF, HSI, DEA, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, the Attorney General's Office, State Probation and Parole, our LSP troopers and investigators, the New Orleans Police Department, the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, the St. Bernard Parish Sheriff's Office, the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, and the Crime Stoppers of Greater New Orleans for their unwavering support of public safety. Together, we are stronger, and today marks the culmination of nearly 5 months of investigative work. As you look to the screen, to my right, your left, you will see the 10 escapees from the Orleans Parish Justice Center. All have been returned to correctional facilities where they no longer pose a threat to the residents and visitors of Louisiana. Next, you'll hear from our State Attorney General, Liz Murrow.
Thank you, Colonel. Today is a good day. Today, we were able to get the final escapee put back in jail to await further proceedings. And I'll walk you through what that's going to look like in just a minute. He has already been charged with 1 count of simple escape on June 30th, along with the other 9 defendants. He will be arraigned on those charges as soon as we get him back from Georgia. He will be taken to Angola, where we have continued to keep all of the other escapees at this time. Tomorrow, he'll see a magistrate judge in Georgia, where he will be able to waive extradition if he chooses to do so. If he doesn't choose to do so, then we will initiate extradition proceedings and eventually remove him back here to Louisiana, and the proceedings will continue. I think that there's some other folks here who could talk a little bit about some of the things that we located at the house at the time that he was arrested and taken back into custody. We do expect to examine whether we can upgrade the charges to aggravated escape in light of the material that they found, which included weapons and drugs. I want to walk you through just real quickly what his criminal history was. In 2019, he was convicted, he pled guilty on a DEA case involving guns and drugs. He was convicted in October 2024 on a 2018 double murder on Mardi Gras Day. That case involved 2 charges of second-degree murder and 2 charges of attempted second-degree murder. Jason Williams' office, I believe, handled all of that, all of those charges at the time. I think virtually the next day, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter for a different case. So he was awaiting sentencing for those matters, and he was scheduled for sentencing in December of 2024 when the judge at the time recused herself, and that triggered a number of proceedings to replace the judge in the case. For reasons that are still unclear, he still had not been sentenced up until May when he escaped. But I think the upshot of that is simply to remind you that this was a very dangerous individual. He is going to face jail time for a very, very long time, possibly, certainly life on the second-degree murders. Those he should have been sentenced to life in prison for, because that's the mandatory jail time for that. So he will also get additional time. We expect he'll be prosecuted in Georgia and possibly by the feds. So he's got a lot of trouble and a lot of things to answer to both the state of Louisiana and the state of Georgia. And I'd also point out that this has been extraordinarily taxing. You see all the law enforcement agencies who are up here who have been working diligently to try and get him back into custody. It's been expensive. It has been very scary for a lot of people, for staff at the DA's office, for victims and witnesses who might have been involved in some of these cases that implicated Derrick Groves. So, you know, it's a very unsettling thing to have somebody out like this and not know where he is and when we're going to have him back in custody. So today is a very good day.
Darlene?
I would just like to echo what everyone said. It really is a great day that this was a peaceful resolve to the situation. Crime Stoppers was very proud and honored to be a part of this task force. What we saw an outpouring of support and concern and really just wanting to help by our community throughout this entire process. Thousands of tips were received through Crime Stoppers on the individuals who escaped. On Mr. Groves directly, several hundred have been received over this period for him with information. And what I do know, they were all vetted. So I want to thank the community for stepping forward, with sending the tips and the tip that came in regarding this particular location. But I also want to say something that y'all don't normally see in the public. It's the people standing behind me, the task force members, the law enforcement agencies who are calling, believe me, I know, in the middle of the night when they got information that they wanted to know more about, working every hour for all of these months. And I'm just so impressed. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart as a nonprofit organization representing civilians. But I hope the public takes the opportunity to thank everyone standing here and their teams for the excellent job that they did. Thank you.
Chief Kirkpatrick.
All right. Thank you, Darlene. I want to share with you a little bit of a background. Last Friday, Director Reese Harper, our PIO that everybody knows over there, we had started an initiative, and we decided that on Fridays we were going to start putting out kind of like our most wanted on Fridays. And a clever name came up by Director Harper, and we call it Front Burner Friday. So last Friday, Director Harper says to me in the hallway, I think we need to put Groves' name back out in front of the community. I said, well, great. I think so too. And he grabbed Darlene, Cassandra, and they did their Friday, front burner Friday, and put Groves' name out. And it was over this weekend that we did get a tip through Crime Stoppers. So, y'all, Crime Stoppers matters. But most importantly, the community is a true partner to us. So when we speak about team, that includes the community. So we want to thank you very much and appreciate it.
Yes, DA Williams.
On behalf of two prosecutors who tried this case with me, we tried it multiple times to get a conviction. On behalf of them, who worked tirelessly to get 12 out of 12 jurors to find him guilty as charged of a double homicide on Mardi Gras. On behalf of the witnesses who were brave enough to come forward. On behalf of the next of kin who still lived in the lower ninth ward during all those trials, I just want to say thank you to all of the law enforcement people who stayed on mission, who continued to work together. I know a lot of people in the public thought folks had given up. They thought this was over. But these men and women continued to work together. They stayed on mission and they delivered for the people of this community. As I said, I tried this case personally. I was in that courtroom, so I was able to get to know the next of kin. And I just want you to all understand that the children in this family who played sports in that park in the lower ninth ward have not been able to go out there during all of this time. Their lives have been shut down out of fear because they didn't know where this man was. And the men and women of these different agencies have given them their lives back. And that is extraordinary. And I was talking to the next of kin a few weeks ago, and she was still trembling. And so I know that today there's a lot of gratitude in that family home that was shot up on that Mardi Gras day. And I also want to just say to the public, thank you. It was your tips. You are one of the most important pieces of this puzzle because you step up when you call in, when you provide that tip, when you show up in court. That's what makes this happen. So I can't thank the public enough for doing its part and making sure that New Orleans is a safer place. And I want to thank God because the fact that someone did not get hurt during this man's time on the lam, and the fact that no law enforcement individuals were injured or hurt, that's just the grace of God. Thank you.
Sheriff Hudson.
Thank you, Colonel. I'm not going to rename all of the agencies that helped here, but they're here up here at this dais, and I'm grateful for them. That's my word for today, just grateful. Thankful for all this help we got. Grateful that they're all back in custody. We look forward to him being sentenced and moving on to prison where he belongs. But again, want to just thank all of our partners and agencies for sharing information, making sure this could happen and we can all move forward with our lives. I know that the grass is a little greener, the sky a little bluer for everybody today. Thank you.
Yo, smash that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Louisiana leaders speak at the final and shit. Yeah, hit that subscribe button, man. Smash that like button. Yeah, I mean, he had a run. He had a run. He had a run. And it's over. Yeah, it's over. It's over. He ran the longest, though. That was ill. He ran the longest. Let me see. Yeah, he had the longest run, though. Yeah. Yeah, he had the longest run. Yeah. Let me see what they say. Hold up. New Orleans. Let me see. Hold up. They said his grandma was a victim of an infamous murder. Hold up. Let me see. Hold up. Let me see. Hold up. Let me read this. Let's put this joint too. Hit that subscribe button, man. And smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button, man. Smash that like button. They said his grandma. Hold up. Let's see this joint play. That's the only thing I hear about dumb stuff like this. Dumb stuff like this, and you click it, whole bunch of other stuff pop up. Hold up. Yeah, I don't know that, man. What are you doing? Let me see what they say. Hold up. Whole bunch of other stuff popping up. What's all that popping up for? Yeah. I'm trying to pull this up here with his grandma. They got a whole bunch of other stuff popping up. Come on, man. Come on, stop it. Let me see. Stop, man. God damn burger. I'm trying to pull this up here about his grandma. They got a whole bunch of other stuff. You try to click on this stuff. Kim Groves, grandson Derrick Groves. Come on, MA still missing. Let me see. Hold up. His grandma Kim Groves was the victim in one of New Orleans' most infamous murders, executed in 1994 on orders of New Orleans cop. Let me see. Hold up. I gotta read this. Hold up. I gotta read this. His grandma. Hold up. Need a pop-up blocker, DZ. Word. I definitely need that. It should just be popping up. Come on, man. What type time they on? I ain't feeling that. They just popping up. Let me see. Hold up. Hold up. Alright. Yeah, I need a pop-up blocker. I do need that. Let me see. Hold up. Alright, hold up. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button too. Let me see here. Hold up. So it say among the 5 escaped inmates still at large. This is when it first happened then. It says last week mass jailbreak from New Orleans. Justice Center, the 27-year-old Derrick Groves. At the time of the jailbreak, Groves was waiting to receive a life sentence after being convicted on 2 counts of second-degree murder, in addition to 2 separate counts of manslaughter. Groves and his family are not strangers to ominous news headlines. Groves was not yet born when his grandma was killed in front of the family home in the 1300 block of Albo Street, gunned down execution style by Paul Cool Hardy on orders of corrupt New Orleans patrol officer Lynn Davis. Davis remains on federal death row while Hardy is serving a life sentence. He's still my dad. He's still my baby. WOL spoke exclusively Thursday with a neighbor who's known Groves since he was a child. A neighborhood mattress Gail Slack said she helped raise Grove. Let me see. I remember him from a baby, said Slack, who still lives in the block. He was friends with my son, taught my son how to ride a bike. He used to do homework at my house. Slack said she was shocked several years ago when Grove was accused of 4 killings. Now she said she's growing increasingly concerned as Grove remained the subject of the massive manhunt following last week's brazen jailbreak of 10 inmates. I just hope that if they catch him, they don't hurt him. She said Derrick came across her mind. It came across as a normal kid, despite his grandmother being killed on the order of police officers. Davis' FBI recorded phone call of Davis celebrating her death had been played repeatedly in the court and on the news. So the police put a hit on his grandma back in the day in the 90s. While Derrick Groves was not yet born when his grandma was killed, he grew up to see numerous court appeals by Davis over the past 2 decades. Even after the home was destroyed during Hurricane Katrina in 2005, the location has been used for memorial ceremonies in honor of his grandmother. Slack said the family tragic history had an impact on Derrick. A small child hearing how his grandmother was killed by police, yeah, it's a big factor in him, Slack said, but he still was my Derrick and still my baby. I raised him. A lot of people just see the bad side. Slack said in her message to Grove, today would be simple. Be safe and turn yourself in. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see if we can click this thing about grandma. Okay. So this is a situation.
It begins here in Montana with a spark.
Let's see what we got here. There's some of the grandma. Former New Orleans Police Department Officer Lynn Davis no longer faces the death penalty, but will spend the rest of his life without parole. As President Biden's term come to an end, he commuted the sentence of 37 to 40 federal death row inmates, including former President Biden let this dude out? Hold up. Oh, man. Oh, man. Y'all see that? Biden pardoned the boy, the cop that had the grandma knocked off. Oh, man. Hold up. Let me make sure I read this right. Davis was a large part in the corruption with the New Orleans Police Department at the time. And he was the cop who ordered a hitman to knock off Kim Groves. Groves was murdered 30 years ago outside of her lower Ninth Ward home. The 32-year-old mother of 3 had been previously filed a brutality complaint against the NOPD officer Lynn Davis. Groves' complaint detailed watching Davis beat a young man. After Davis was alerted of the complaint by another officer, he enlisted hitman Paul Cool Handy. Davis was later implicated in an FBI narcotics investigation that linked Davis to Groves' murder and revealed his effort to shield Hardy during his string of violent crimes. In 1996, Davis was sentenced to death. Now that his sentence was commuted, he no longer faces the death penalty, but will spend life in prison without parole. Okay, so Biden just took him off death row. So he's still in jail, but Biden took him off death row. My family has been living in a nightmare. Lynn Davis for over 30 years. Groves' son Corey said in a statement to WWL Louisiana, I have always wanted him to spend the rest of his life in prison and have to wake up every morning and think about what he had did when he took our mother from us. Biden said he condemns the murders and grieves for the victims. On the campaign trail, Biden promised to abolish the federal death penalty, and this was his most dramatic step yet. Meanwhile, Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrow responded to Davis' clemency.
It begins here in Montana with a spark.
Hold up. We can't trust the feds to get justice for victims and heinous crimes. So it's long past due for the state to get it done, Murrow said in a statement. Okay, so the grandmom was unalived, and the cop, he was on death row, and Biden commuted his sentence to life. Okay, Biden commuted his sentence to life. Hit that like button. KO, my guy, what's poppin', KO? Okay. So Biden commuted the cop sentence to life. So the cop ain't getting out. He just got life. He just ain't on death row no more. Okay. Yeah. That was deep, though. Yeah, that was deep. Smash that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. That was definitely deep, though. Yeah. Yeah, that was deep. Let me see here. Yeah, that was deep. Let me see here. Yeah, he's supposed to get up out of there, though. Yeah, he's supposed to get up out of there. Big facts. For sure. If he wanted to make it through, he's supposed to get up out of there. For sure. Yeah, he's supposed to get up out of there. Yeah. Yeah, KO, you know it, man. Definitely try and keep this thing going. Non-stop. For sure. You know, I appreciate the support, bro. Yeah, let me see here. Hold up. All right, so this one they grabbed him up. Right here. Hold up. They went in there and shot that gas off. Yeah, they went in there and shot that gas off. Went in there and straight got it. Yeah. Yeah, they went in there and shot that gas off. Smash that like button and hit that subscribe button, man. Let me see. Smash that like button and hit that subscribe button.
What those details are, trying to get that information so that we can bring it to you and bring you the very latest as we continue this breaking news cut in for everyone out there. You can see lots of heavily armored vehicles. Just take a look at this on your screen right now. This is another heavily armored vehicle that's positioned in and around, you know, this house and this neighborhood in Southwest Atlanta. So huge law enforcement presence. I know if I'm one of the neighbors in that area, I'm wondering what in the world is going on there, especially since this has ties to New Orleans. not actually Atlanta. So the residents are probably very shocked about what they're seeing this afternoon. You can see, though, if you look at the different vests of these law enforcement officers, look, you can see Atlanta police right there. There's a police cruiser for them. So that's an indication that Atlanta police for Atlanta proper are involved in this operation. You can see the SWAT vehicles are being moved. What we do know, from our law enforcement sources is that, again, this is happening and unfolding before your eyes right now in this Southwest Atlanta neighborhood. What we do have some new information coming in. Mike McDaniel is joining me here in the studio. We're going to continue to look at this live picture. But, Mike, just tell us what we have new information-wise in terms of what's going on there in Atlanta.
Yeah, and so in regards to some of those sources, they did tell us that he was walked out in handcuffs. So that does tell us apparently he is in good condition. Considering everything that's going on. You had all the gassing going on, you had him surrounded, barricaded, whatever the case may have been. So he seems to be fine as opposed to being walked out in handcuffs. We have gotten a statement from the district attorney, Jason Williams, here in the Orleans Parish. I'm going to read that for you here. Today, we have confirmed the escape inmate Derrick Groves has been captured in Atlanta, Georgia, following a standoff at a residence in Southwest Atlanta after nearly 5 months on the run after his escape from Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office custody on May 16th, 2025. Now, it goes on to say Groves' escape represented a serious breach of public safety. You've been talking about that. Of course, the historic failure, as we've seen when it comes to custodial security there at the jail. His capture brings a long-awaited calm to victims, their families, the witnesses who testified, the assistant district attorneys who prosecuted him, and the people of New Orleans who were rightly concerned that a convicted violent offender had escaped so easily and evaded justice for so long. And that brings another section to the fold here is the people who were the victims.
Absolutely.
The people who testified against him. Yes. They have for months now been looking over their shoulder effectively. Yes. We know that they've been working with the sheriff's office as well as the district attorney's office, state police, to try and get some type of protection in place. But you can only protect people out in the public for so long. Yes. When you have someone like this, Derrick Groves, on the loose. So now this brings that finality to them that maybe they can have some closure with this arrest that we now know happened in Southwest Atlanta at that home.
Absolutely. Derrick Groves is one of the inmates who was actually convicted. He was awaiting sentencing.
And the only one.
The only one, yes, who was post-conviction, who was in the jail, again, awaiting sentencing. At that point, he would have been transferred to a state prison to serve out the rest of his sentence. So now you would think that some additional charges would be added to what Derrick Groves has already been.
Hectic. Now, we know that the escape began in the early morning, hours before several people and most people across the city and the state knew what was happening. We know now that the escape happened or started around 12:30 in the morning that day when they were, we've seen the video of them kind of pulling on that doors for several minutes. It seems like we know once they were able to breach that door, they were able to pull a toilet off of the wall. And after, we've all seen those pictures of the hole in the wall with the drawings that say "too easy" on the wall. We now know that, once they were able to get out of the jail, they escaped through a loading dock. They scaled a wall and then ran across the interstate. This again happened all in the early morning hours of May 16th, but we didn't really know what was happening until much later. And that has been a huge point of contention in this situation, the delay of notification. Now, we saw in the days after the escape, Sheriff Hudson and several law enforcement agencies go to city council to present information on this. And the big question was, where was that delay in information? Why wasn't the public, the news, city leaders, state leaders told about this huge breach in the jail? So that still has been a point of discussion in the past 5 months, and I'm sure will continue to be a point of discussion. Because of that, we've heard Sheriff Susan Hudson say that there has been several safety and issues with things like locks in the jail. And she's been mentioning that for a long time. But again, that has been a point of discussion throughout all of this, and a question to the city council. Are you going to help fund this? Are you going to help get things done that we need in the jail to prevent things like this from happening again? So still a lot of questions to be answered in that. But again, this has been such a long situation, 5 months now, coming to an end. Now, again, those 9 inmates who escaped but had been refound, whether it was in New Orleans or across state lines, they have all now been sitting in a state facility. We've seen pictures and we know from state officials that after they were recaptured, they were taken to a state facility with what they officials say is better security, so they can essentially keep a better eye on them. So these cases are still wrapping up, but of course we'll continue to follow them. Katie, back to you.
Yeah, lots of great context and additional information there from Alyssa. I know you're going to continue to work your sources as well as this whole situation unfolds. I'm here with Mike McDaniel. If you're just joining us, escapee Derrick Groves has been recaptured in Southwest Atlanta. Now take a look at this, Mike. This is what we believe to be, Derrick Groves.
That cruiser in Atlanta.
Not sure?
Not 100% sure, but we do believe that could possibly be him being taken away from the scene there. We're going to slow down the video just to kind of give you a look. And we've seen the mugshot that we've been using of Derrick Groves, and it could be possibly.
Yes.
We're still waiting on law enforcement officials to confirm that, of course, is in fact him. Of course, 5 months ago when this all happened, you even had the district attorney, Jason Williams, come out and say that he was personally.
Let me see why this thing off like this. That's what I'm ready to see. Let me see why this joint is off like this. It seems like the timing is off on this joint. Yeah.
Derrick Groves is one of the people seen running out of this New Orleans jail in May. And Channel 2 Action News was there as U.S. Marshals took him into custody today. Groves was the last of the 10 New Orleans escapees. Investigators found him hiding in a basement crawl space under a home on Honeysuckle Lane. Channel 2's Tom Jones is live there right now. And Tom, you're the one who told the homeowner investigators had found the escaped murderer there.
That's right, Linda. Richard McQueen told me he got a call from someone saying that he needed to come and check out his house. When he got here, this is what he saw. Take a look. The front door broken down. Take a look at that window there. It is gone. Look over there to the right. The garage door, it is obliterated. This home is a mess. McQueen says he didn't know his tenants and never expected to see something like this.
I mean, I don't know what was going. I don't know. I'm like you, speechless.
Richard McQueen was speechless after he arrived at the home he rents out on Honeysuckle Lane and found SWAT officers left it severely damaged. I had to tell McQueen police damaged it trying to get an escaped double murderer out of the home.
They was quiet when I went. I was just getting the rent.
He says his daughter collected the rent and he had no idea who was living here. Police say they got a tip 28-year-old Derrick Groves was in the home. They tried to get him to come out, but he refused.
We deployed a number of canisters of gas to help move him throughout the house, which he moved to the basement of the house. Soon after, Clayton County K-9 was deployed in the crawl space of the location and found him in that crawl space.
I recorded this video of officers bringing out a handcuffed Groves. As they led him away in a patrol car, he screamed something to our camera. And neighbors say officers used some sort of battering ram to puncture holes in this home in an effort to get Groves to come out. McQueen is very concerned about who's going to pay for all this damage. He kept looking at the damage and seemed just stunned that out of all the houses Groves could have been found in, it had to be one that he rents. Police say they learned that Groves was here after they got a tip from New Orleans. We're live in Southwest Atlanta. Tom Jones, Channel 2 Action News.
Yeah, they tore the crib up.
Of course, 5 months ago.
Yeah, they tore the crib up.
Not 100% sure, but we do believe that could.
Seen pictures, and we know from state officials.
Yeah, I was trying to see this one right here, but That one right there, that don't act right. Yeah, that don't act right. Yeah, that one don't act right. Teen mom shoots her 4 kids. Said she had to him. Oh man, this joint was crazy.
She was once on the reality show Paternity Court, trying to figure out who the father was of one of her children. This image is per Paternity Court's YouTube channel. Now, this mom is accused of the unthinkable, allegedly shooting 4 of her kids, killing 2 of them. What we're learning about her past from her time on Paternity Court to what she said about parenting just a couple of weeks ago. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Social media about parenting and her time on that reality television show. I want to break down with you the horrifying scene that law enforcement in Texas say they came upon on Saturday of last week. It was October 4th. Police say they were called to this gas station in Brazoria County, Texas. That's south of Houston. It was around 5 o'clock in the morning. The 911 caller, they say, was Oninda Romelis. Deputies said that they didn't know why they were responding to this gas station, but when they arrived, they found that her 4 children were shot. They were inside the car. 2 children were dead, a 13-year-old boy and 3-year-old girl. 2 other children were injured. They are now in stable condition. They are 8 years old and 9 years old. Deputies say that it's unclear if Romelis fired the gunshots in this gas station's parking lot, or did she allegedly do it somewhere else? Surveillance video allegedly shows her getting out of the car, getting gas, talking on her phone before deputies arrive. Authorities say they believe the gunshots were fired inside the car, but other than that, a lot of this is still a mystery. At a news conference on Sunday, law enforcement would not share too much detail. Here's part of what they said per Fox 26 in Houston.
We've been burning the midnight oil on this ever since this dropped, right? So I can assure you we're looking into this.
But then we received the court documents that have shown what Romelis allegedly told detectives after they took her into custody. Now, according to these court records, Romelis was asked whether she wanted to continue talking with authorities, and she said yes. Now, at first, when she was asked why she called 911, she said she couldn't talk about it. But when she was asked again about calling 911, she allegedly said, quote, instead of them doing it to me, I'm going to do it to them. Then, when the investigator asked, quote, do what? Romelis allegedly said, quote, kill them all. Romelis then said she didn't call 911. She allegedly said she called, quote, the devil. As Romelis continued talking, she said that she was ready to work, which detectives write in the court document that it just didn't make sense. Romelis did allegedly say that she had 4 children and said their names and their ages correctly, but when asked where they were, she allegedly said, quote, the devil. When asked what she meant by that, she said, quote, they're dead, and quote, because you can't take me without me taking you. Now, at their news conference, deputies did not discuss anything related to the custody of the children or the family situation involving these children before the shooting. But we have learned that the question of paternity with at least one of these children, it has been raised before. In fact, it was raised very publicly on a TV show called Paternity Court. The episode is still public on YouTube. Now, the episode was about learning who the father was of an 18-month-old boy. Now, it is unclear if that child is one of the victims in this case, but his age does match up with the age of the 13-year-old who was killed. That boy found slumped over inside the car, according to deputies when they arrived at that gas station. Before I get back to this episode of On the Case, which is one of the most watched shows on YouTube, I need to stop and talk about our partner, Morgan. A client was, even if you don't think your case is .com/September 27th. Now, this is the post on that day in September. The video has the caption, quote, mama gotta have a life too. And here's the caption on the post that reads, quote, cause what it really do, you're not a bad B word if you're a terrible mother. To all my mamainas handling biz and did not handle biz this week, baby, go to happy hour, bleep them kids. Deputies say they are investigating the home where Romelis and her kids lived, which was more than an hour away north of Houston in Montgomery County, Texas. It is still unclear why Romelis and her children inside that vehicle were in the county south of Houston, again, an hour away Saturday morning when she called 911 allegedly. Romulus is now facing 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Bond is set at $5 million each for each murder count and $2 million for each aggravated assault count for a total of $14 million. Law enforcement would not speculate on a motive in this case. We still don't know that. KHOU-TV is reporting that CPS has made contact with Romulus in the past, but the details of that interaction has not been made public. Now, as far as any sort of criminal record for Romulus, this mugshot is from 2022, and it was for an arrest in Georgia in Fayette County. It was related to a DUI, possession of marijuana, failure to maintain lane, and having an improper tag. Court records show that she pleaded guilty to the DUI and improper tag charges, and prosecutors decided not to pursue the 2 other charges she was facing. Joining us now to talk more about this from Texas is Anthony Asso, criminal defense attorney and a former assistant district attorney. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know this is an incredibly sad case. Just initially from what we've learned, and there isn't a lot from deputies, but what do you just take away about the evidence that it seems that they have to this point?
Well, I think it's largely that they're relying on the 911 phone call, as well as probably interviews from the 2 children that survived the shooting, which, while eyewitness interviews are typically strong testimony, it's her own children. So I think that they're going to really want to work to build up more evidence that will corroborate the testimony of those 2 other children.
Yeah, and the 2 children who survived, I mean, they're both minors. How do you go about, I mean, from, the prosecution standpoint of making sure that you have a story that you could use in court, considering these kids are so young? I believe they're 8 and 9 years old who survived.
Well, you want to find, in addition to testimonial evidence, you're going to want to look for all the direct physical evidence that could corroborate what happened, right? So they're going to be looking at the shell casings on the scene. My understanding is that these shootings occurred at a gas station. So we're going to want to look for surveillance video to find out if there's any footage that will corroborate the child witnesses' statements. Because not only are they young witnesses, but they're also the children of the defendant in this case. And so in addition to all the emotional trauma that they're dealing with right now, when it comes down to time to potentially testify in some sort of trial setting, their emotions and feelings could be kind of up in the air.
She's being held on a $14 million bond. And I know in a lot of states, and typically you don't see bond that high.
No.
How does it work in Texas where someone could actually be, and I know they broke it down with the 2 murder charges are $5 million apiece, and then the 2 aggravated assault charges with the deadly weapon, I believe it was, are $2 million apiece, bringing it to 14. How does that work in Texas?
Well, in just like any other state, Texas has to abide by the Constitution. So you can't use bail in order to oppress somebody, and everyone's entitled to bail. However, in Texas, if they put on a proof evident hearing, and I think we could anticipate that there could be a capital murder charge in this case. We don't have that much information yet, but in the event that Brazoria does file capital murder, and they did intend to seek death in this case, they could have a proof evident hearing and ultimately hold the defendant at no bond. But without doing that, and just on murder charges, she's entitled to bail. And I do think that amount is high, so we'll likely see her defense attorneys file a writ in an effort to lower the bond. Still, I imagine that the bonds will be out of reach for her in these cases.
Because, and still, I mean, we haven't learned a lot about what exactly links her to this shooting. Deputies have said that they believe it happened in the car. They're still figuring out exactly where. They were asked about the murder weapon. It was unclear whether they actually have that. When it comes to a bond hearing in the short term, I mean, what would be the argument that a defense attorney could have to try and lower her bond? And also the other part of it is, what's the point of even lowering it if it would be an amount over $1 million that she might not be able to afford?
Sure. I think it's just, regardless, it's your responsibility as her lawyer to get the bond as low as possible in an effort to try and help her make that bond. Putting together a defense is going to be a lot more successful if you're able to communicate with your client. And the reality is if your client is in custody, that's harder it's hard to have communication with them. I think the arguments that the defense will likely make are that she's got no criminal history, and I think that they'll probably argue her financial means in this case. But with the facts, as far as from what we've seen so far, I think the prosecution will just rely on the facts, and it wouldn't surprise me if the judge didn't budge on the bail amount in this case.
You read through some of the court documents, and she made some very bizarre, scary statements, saying things like her children are with the devil. She said, kill them all. You know, on one hand, that could be very incriminating, but on the other hand, you would look and say that this isn't someone who maybe is in the right state of mind. How does the law see a statement like that of whether an insanity defense could be coming?
Yeah, Chris, so the law in Texas, when it comes to insanity, basically states that you have to establish that the person wasn't aware of the consequences of their actions. So they really couldn't process what they were doing at the time that the offense was committed. It's a really high standard, and you don't often see successful insanity defenses. They do occur, but it's definitely the exception to the rule. So I think statements like that are something that the defense at least would tip the defense off to explore in this case, especially when we're talking about first-degree murder charges or potentially capital murder, where a defendant faces life without parole in prison. The defense has to explore every single avenue, whether that's is she the person that actually committed the offense? Was she acting in self-defense, or did she do it, but was she insane at the time and unable to process what was going on? So I think we'll certainly see the defense explore that avenue in this case.
What would be the point where the defense could actually make that argument? Because it's one thing that she makes these statements in spur of the moment. I haven't seen anything that she's had any sort of history with mental health in the past. Maybe she has an undiagnosed disorder that could explain some of this activity. How does both the prosecution and defense kind of explore that and figuring out whether that would be a viable defense for her?
Well, the first line for the defense in this case is going to be obtaining an expert to have her evaluated and to look at the facts and look at the overall investigation in this case, because they're not going to be able to establish that she was acting out of insanity if they don't have an expert testify to that effect. You've got to then notify the state if you intend to use that kind of evidence in a trial. So I imagine the state would have their own expert to conduct a similar evaluation. To counter that, I think the prosecution is likely going to rely on the circumstances surrounding the shooting in this case, right? The fact that Ms. Romelis left the scene is going to be something that they would rely upon to say, look, you fled in an effort to avoid getting in trouble, which goes so that you had recognition of the consequences of your actions. So it's sort of the circumstances surrounding the shooting that I think the state will heavily rely on.
If it was found, and I'm just thinking off the top, say she's schizophrenic and she's never known that she was schizophrenic, and they find through this evaluation that she is. I mean, what's the bar still, even if that was the case? What makes the bar so high to actually use an insanity defense?
Well, you could rely, I mean, the schizophrenic, her suffering from schizophrenia could be probative for the defense, but it's a matter of tying that in to this instant offense and showing that due to that schizophrenic episode, that the defendant couldn't process what they were doing. And so you have to create that nexus. And I think that's what makes the bar so high here. I think finding an expert to testify to say, hey, look, a lot of people won't say, a lot of people won't say schizophrenia could lead to that, or could lead to you not recognizing what's going on. So it's having an evaluation that shows that, in fact, she didn't realize what she was doing at the time she shot her 2 children. So I think that's what creates a high bar.
Yeah, she was definitely crazy.
Beyond that, because if they file capital murder charges and say they seek the death penalty in this case because she shot 4 kids allegedly, killing 2 of them. On the flip side of it, let's say she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Like, what would life look like for her? And I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves of where we are in this, but just thinking that one possibility could eventually be the death penalty, what would be on the flip side of that if the insanity defense actually worked out?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris, because I think there's a general assumption that someone would then just walk free. And the reality is they don't. There's a structured period of time where when somebody's found not guilty by reason of insanity, that they're incarcerated, but they're typically in a state mental hospital until there's a restoration of their sanity and competency. So you don't just walk away from that without any sort of, I wouldn't use the word punishment, but ongoing treatment for whatever mental illness you were struggling with at the time. But I do think, whether or not they can mount an insanity defense, I do think if there was any mental health, that's something the defense would use in an effort to sort of mitigate whatever offer she might receive from the state before a trial ever occurred in this case.
And I know that you've worked cases in this county. In a case like this, if they do have the evidence that they believe that they have, or at least that they've kind of insinuated to us that they've had, that seems like they have a pretty strong case. I mean, how likely is it that prosecutors would offer a deal down the line if it's something where it seems like she would get the death penalty for that?
Well, assuming that they have the facts they need to make this case and there's not anything to support that she was acting out of any mental health episode, I think they're going to be really hard pressed to get any sort of offer. The defense would be hard pressed to get any sort of offer that would resolve this case. I imagine that there's going to be long sentences. I mean, I think we could see, and if they were to file a capital murder charge, we could easily see an offer of life without parole or a life sentence offering in this case. And so under those circumstances, it typically leads to trials.
And so I know you work in Houston, and she lives in Montgomery County, which just looking at a map is north of the city. And then Brazoria County is south of Houston. It seems like these are, just in terms of trying to figure out exactly what happened. I mean, they say call 911 around 5 o'clock in the morning Saturday. She's at this gas station south of the city, very far away from where she lives. Just the geographic part of this, as someone who lives in Houston, what stands out to you?
Well, it's odd. I think the time of day, obviously, at that hour being, because Montgomery County and Brazoria County, specifically where Miss Romelis lived, that's about an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes away. So she's at a random gas station at 5:30 in the morning with all of her kids in the back seat. It's definitely, I see investigators wanting to find out more about why she was down there. And the way they're going to do that, I think, will be through cell phone examination. So they'll probably get a warrant to search that phone and talk to witnesses that knew more about her life.
And then just if I think of the defense attorney that's going to get this case, and let's say the mental health argument, the insanity defense is just not there. How do you approach this case with her and defend someone if the prosecution, it seems that they feel like they have a pretty strong case that they have the person responsible for what happened to these kids?
Well, it's hard to say what specifically a defense lawyer is going to do without knowing the entirety of the investigation. But there's a lot of things they'll probably want to harp in on. They're going to want to listen to the statement of the two other children. They're going to want to look at the crime scene and look to see whether whether the investigation was conducted properly. Were chain of custodies, when it comes to the ballistics on scene, done properly? Did they do DNA in this case? And just when you look at the big picture, trying to find the holes in the investigation where the police didn't do their job like they're supposed to. I think that would be a start. I also think that there might not be mental health issues, but there's certainly things that you can look back on and try to find about Miss Romelis that might mitigate why she did this, right? So you're going to want to look at her childhood and kind of dig back every layer of her life to see if there's things in her life that were traumatic that might lead her to act or respond in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at this reality television show and to just think of, the place that someone would be to even go on a show like that. And is that kind of the story that a defense could tell eventually when we get down the line? If this were to go to trial, just knowing how, I know you've done work in this county. So this happens on Saturday, October 4th. Now it's Tuesday, so it's been a couple days. I mean, what would trial time look like to actually get to a trial from here?
the wheels of justice turn slow, Chris, and especially in Houston and surrounding counties, just because there's a big population. So I don't foresee this case going to trial within the next year and a half. I think more likely we're looking at 2. And especially when it comes to murder cases and a murder of a child, there are going to be boatloads of discovery. I don't think the investigation stops once the suspect is found. I think that now police officers are likely or should be writing warrants again to get into electronics that belong to her to try and establish motive and understand why it is that she did what she did. So in the event that the defense makes some sort of mental insanity argument or that there was mental health and she wasn't really acting like herself, they can say, no, look, this is a motive that she had going into the shooting that day. I can't say whether or not that evidence exists, but I think that this investigation will be ongoing for quite some time.
Yeah, I know that law enforcement there in that county have said that they're burning the midnight oil, trying to figure out exactly how this could happen. Horrific case. Anthony Asso, criminal defense attorney, thank you for taking the time to be with us on Law and Crime. We appreciate it.
Hey, she has some serious mental issues. Serious. Like, next level. You know, you could have dropped them kids off anywhere and never came back. But to go that far, she got some issues. She was dealing with something. She might have been on something. You know, she might have been popping pills, you know, smoking that crazy bud they got out there. Because that bud got something in it. I'm telling you. That bud that they smoking now, it got something in it. And she could have had something laced with something and it went crazy. Damn, you could have dropped the kids off any damn where. Yeah. But I know she ain't getting nothing but life. Straight up. She ain't getting nothing but, nothing but life. Her joint is going to be life. Yeah. And then she got to wake up every day and think about what she did to her damn kids. Like, goddamn. Like, every day when she get up in them cells right now, when she waking up in that cell right now, she got to think about she really took the kids' life. You could have dropped them off and left them somewhere. Never came back. Damn. You done took the kids' life. That's crazy. Holy Mary Sky, what's popping? Crazy. You know? Hey, she should have just dropped them off, man. Dropped them off anywhere. You know, I ain't coming back. But it's like, when people do stuff like that, it's like you really lose and then you hurt the kids at the same time. You could have left them somewhere. Let them figure it out. Hey, left them somewhere at the hospital. Let them figure it out. But to take their damn life, god damn. Yeah. And then you gotta sit in a cell and fight the case. Like, yeah, she was tweaking. She tweaked all the way out. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Yeah, she tweaked all the way out, man. Like, big facts. Yeah, she tweaked all the way out. To a whole nother level, man. Yeah, she tweaked all the way out to a whole nother level. Yeah. Yeah, now she gonna have to sit down. It's over. Yeah, she gonna have to sit down. Made no sense. For real. Made no sense. Yeah. Hit that subscribe button though. Smash that like button. Yeah. Can you see his girlfriend? Explosive testimony. Yeah. Ain't no coming back off that, man. Ain't no coming back off that right there, man. Not at all. Ain't no coming back. Hit that like button, man. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Finesse 2 times got pressed. Let's see. Finesse 2 times get pressed, and they said he need to check in Texas. He got to check in. And Finesse 2 times wasn't going for that. Check in where? When? Yeah. I ain't checking in nowhere. Straight up. I'm not going in the heart of the hood nowhere if I'm going somewhere else. I'm not checking in nowhere. Check in with who?
Big dog right now. I ain't never checked in on the world. Big Father. Wait a minute, Big Father. Go to jail. No, you ain't going to jail, Big Father. They're gonna go to jail and check in. That's what they're gonna do. Go to jail and check in. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna go to jail and check in. That's what they're gonna do. Go to jail and check in. That's what's gonna happen.
Man, who the f he gotta check in? Ain't none of you real.
Hey, what up? It's your boy Pippin King, the best thing since Mr. Ring Ice Cream. We got some more Pippin, man. Yes, man. Making easy money, Pippin holders. What? Put it right here in my bitch. Right here in my bitch. That's me, man. Yeah, all off the beach, man. All on the bitch, man. Whatever color the beach is, man. You're man. Red, purple, green, yellow. I don't give a fuck what color the whole is, man. Long as the beach money green, man. You don't go Pip on that funky hunky, that almighty whitey. You understand? You know what's up? Airplanes and white bitches right here, man. You know, it's my little homie, man. Hey, he always use what's it say, socket to a pipe. Socket to put it in my meeting. Yeah, I said that 30 years ago. He keep it alive, man. It's my little homie, man. Yeah, we're gonna let the square hole know, man. I don't need to let the well from the beach, huh? Hip hop attorney, you know what's going on, man. There's only one way to do it, man. Real peace shit.
Yeah, I ain't checking in nowhere. Facts. Yeah, check in where? And let me see, because it was some goofy joker. They had a video of him up saying that he had to check in. Let me see. Hold up. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. There was some dude that said that he was told that he had to check in. I'm trying to find this weirdo. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find. And it was somebody that told him that he had to check in. Okay, Pooh Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty done made it out. And I hope the brother understand that you better enjoy your freedom because it's priceless.
She been collecting dust, man. She been collecting dust, man. We don't ride with no tags. You know I ain't believing nothing out. CEO. She been collecting dust on them, man. She collecting dust on again. What we doing? What's up, my little twin, man? She collecting dust. My little brother sending this shit, playing in this shit, man. My little brother done been driving this shit, man. I don't do this no, man. Come on.
I understand.
Shit, man. I don't be wanting to drive. I don't be wanting to do this shit, man. I'm a low key. I'm more of a Slim from Cash Money than a Birdman type. But you know, I get on my Birdman shit though. Yeah. Tell me, cuz, why did man out here pissing on people? Shit, man, all this, man. What's wrong with him? Get him. Cuz you ain't no king. Hey, cuz you ain't a kill. You ain't no meal break. You ain't no kill that. It was we on. It was me and my twin on. We on, sight. So about you look for a Rari. Nah, big brother. Don't get no bigger than this shit. And we got the hold on, man. Somehow. And we'll go break out 3M right now. Right now, satellite. Break out 3M. What's up now, satellite? Somehow. This ain't even half the fleet. Little bro, what you got going? I need to put his little brothers in McLaren till they get out.
But he never won.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man. Pooh Shiesty better take it easy, man. Yeah, we all know it's easy to go to jail, but it's hard to get out. You better take it easy, man. Straight up. Yeah, you see, it's easy to go to jail, but it's hard to get out of that joint. Pooh Shiesty better take it easy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Smash that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button, man. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, man. Vlad, hey. Oh, man. See, I don't like this right here, though. I don't like this right here, man. I ain't even gonna lie. I don't like this, man, because they trying to say that Jeezy told on somebody, and this FBI agent that retired said that Jeezy was cooperating. Like, man, I'm gonna keep it real, man. These type of dudes right here, man, I don't believe nothing they say. You know, the FBI agent that's retired, I don't believe him either. Straight up. Yeah. It was a clip. I think they might play it in here, but I don't believe him. Not at all. They got Vlad and Adams in here, and then Remo. The only nigga at the table right? And they saying, yo, Jeezy told, and like, man, I ain't going for that, man. Yeah, I'm not going with the Jeezy told narrative. Straight up, I ain't going for it at all. And if you go for it, that's your stuff. But it's crazy how they'll put dirt on your name so quick. They quick to put some dirt on your name. That's one thing about this internet. Yeah. And the people that are the dirtiest, they the ones that put stuff on everybody's name. They just be randomly picking people to put stuff on their name, and they be the dirtiest. The dirtiest. Just look at these people, man. They got Vlad, Adam, Academics, Seti Nash, Whack 100. Straight up in 1090J. These people they got the dirtiest name. Every one of them. But they quick to put something on somebody's name that made it. That made it through the real struggle. And when you look at it, right? None of them went through the real live struggle. None of them. None of them. That's the crazy thing. Man, ain't none of them niggas went through that struggle Jeezy had to go through in the streets with the real street niggas. Nigga made it all the way through that stuff, dealing with whatever he was dealing with in the streets. And you got these type of people that sit on the podcast and they like throw a bad bone on the Joker, right? Knowing Jeezy ain't gonna respond. So it make them look like they saying something truthful. I ain't going for it at all though. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and let's see what they gotta say. I ain't going for it.
Topic that is like super late breaking, and this is probably one of the most unique ways that I've ever seen somebody get exposed for snitching. But basically, there was an FBI agent who made a TikTok talking about a case that he was involved with many years ago, and we could play the clip if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the guy's name because he's pretty famous, and to be fair, he was never charged with a crime. But we had these two rappers in Atlanta in the early 2000s, and they were beefing with each other, trading diss tracks, the whole thing. Then rapper number one, the famous one, orders his goons to go beat up rapper number two and steal this gaudy gold and diamond necklace he wore in all of his videos, and that's where it got interesting. The goon squad shows up at rapper number two's place. He pulls a gun and starts shooting. One of the attackers gets hit, makes it about 200 yards away from the house before he drops dead. Rapper number two is arrested for murder, but is dismissed as self-defense. And the real criminal here is rapper number one, who ordered the violent act that got his man killed. I had the phone records of two witnesses prepared to testify for what would have been a rock-solid RICO murder case. But for reasons that were never explained to me, the U.S. Attorney's Office declined prosecution, and rapper number one went on to have a phenomenally successful career. Oh well, win some, lose some.
So basically, the allegation is that.
So what makes this guy so credible? That's what, gets me with the internet. What makes this white man that gets up here and says that he had evidence that Jeezy told and it was going to be a RICO, and what makes him so credible? And yeah, they sit down with Wack and do interviews with Wack consistently and don't say nothing about it. Ever. They don't call Wack out not one time about nothing he's doing, but they got something to say about Jeezy. Man, hey man, I gotta call him Fufafi on this one. Straight up. I gotta call these dudes straight Fufafi on this one. And I ain't going for this.
that
He's talking about Jeezy and Gucci.
Right, and Blue
That's clear.
Blue Da Vinci has kind of confirmed as well that there was this sort of like eerie switch up from Jeezy, where when the BMF takedown went down, that Jeezy at that point like ceased to have anything to do with BMF, never communicated with any of them ever after that. And so he's basically saying that they had, in his opinion, a rock solid case against Jeezy for the Gucci situation.
Blue Da Vinci told them, like, when did it come that the snitches have the most credibility? That's what's weird about the internet. And I'm just keeping it a buck. The snitches got the most credibility. Wack sit there and tell on everybody under the sun, and people act like he has credibility to say who's telling. Wack will say Tekashi 6ix9ine told him about Jim Jones telling, and that's credible. The snitches are the ones that are acting like they got the most credibility on who's telling on the internet, man. That shit is wild. That shit's wild, man. That shit wild.
In which Bukilo got killed, but that was never pursued by the FBI, and that his best guess is basically that it was in exchange for Jeezy supplying information about BMF.
I missed that last part. Where is that last part?
You kind of need to connect the dots with like prior videos. There's like a Blue Da Vinci video where he goes into depth about how he feels very strongly that Jeezy snitched. And so that guy kind of like puts the details of it together of what his incentive to do so might have been, since Jeezy was the only one associated with BMF that basically ended up getting to skate free.
Well, what about there was multiple guys that went into that house?
Yeah, and I interviewed one of them, Young Throwback, who claimed that Gucci Mane, or I interviewed the guy who claims that he's the one who pulled the trigger and killed Pookie Loke.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Pookie Loke was with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't by himself.
Yeah, it was like two people that ran inside the crib.
So maybe the people who are cooperating were the two people that were part of the home invasion, and they were going to cooperate against Jeezy. You see what I'm saying? That's what I kind of implied from that.
The reason people think that this guy's implying that Jeezy actually did it, because in the comments, the two comments that he actually replied to was someone saying that the theory of the reason that Jeezy never got locked up was because of him providing evidence to the feds about the BMF shit. And that the guy who made this TikTok, he liked that theory, and then he's like, interesting theory. So people just speculating that that's why. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not like really just proven, but it's just the theory of like.
And it always did seem sort of bizarre that all this shit went down in front of our eyes, where Gucci basically ordered this situation that ended up in a murder, and that it was never pursued. I mean, even as like a real young rap fan, that always stood out to me. I was like, how the are they not pursuing that?
I mean, when it comes to situations like this, to convict someone of a murder for hire, it's a little tricky, especially when people are not cooperating. You see what I'm saying? So you need to get a unanimous, you know, like the Hernandez Govan trial. They had a whole bunch of stuff set up. Yeah, they knew each other. They were talking, this, that, and the third. Oh, there was a reason. There's this, there's that. Jury came through with not guilty an hour later. It was like, there's no case here. So nobody wants to go into trial unless they have a rock solid case. Like, for example, like the whole David, you know,
you've been paying attention to that?
Murder. I've been paying attention to that. Yeah. And it appears like they don't really have a way to tie him into the murder. There's circumstantial things. Yes, he knew her. She was underage. She was mentioned. There's a live stream. But how do you go from that to a chopped up dead body in your car? You have to really prove it, especially when the person has money and has lawyers. And at the time, Jeezy had money. Just might not have been a strong enough case. So you just leave it as a cold case, hoping maybe at some point someone comes forward and brings some new information and so forth, because it could be a cold case for 20 years. They might still, you know, if Jeezy really was responsible for that, they could still charge him next week, like whatever. I hope they don't, but you really, people like to be armchair lawyer all they.
He say he hope he don't. He hope they don't charge you. But this is your topic, you know, that y'all saying the man is snitching. when there's no proof out there that the man told. But I guess, this guy is trying to write him a book. So he comes and talks about Jeezy snitching to get everybody looking so that they can be expecting this book. These people lie so much when they trying to, put something together. It's ridiculous, man. Straight up. It's ridiculous.
But when it comes to real trials and real cases, you got to really have your ducks in a row.
I mean, we've seen a lot of people get exposed for snitching in a variety of different ways. Like 1090 Jake feels very, very strongly that Larry Hoover told, and a lot of the proof is based on a 1964 newspaper article. Now we've got a former FBI agent who basically is just creating TikTok content and is probably going to get like $2 to $3 from the Chinese government as a result of putting this theory out there. So he might actually, we're really like not sure how this is going to play out or how much people are going to turn on Jeezy or whatever. Obviously, he's kind of in the main.
Anyone's going to give a shit.
You don't think?
I don't think anyone's going to give a shit, honestly.
I mean, we've seen so much evidence of people not caring about snitching in general that at this point that it's kind of easy to imagine people leaving it alone.
He's also sort of at the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
I think in a way. It's not a shot at Jeezy. I just think that he's not the guy that's going to drop the #1 album next year when he drops. I think that his fans will like it, and I think it'll chart somewhere, and there might be, depending on who he gets on a song, like let's see, he gets Jay-Z for a feature, it might get kind of big, but it won't be, this is not the next J. Cole album. This is not the next Drake album. I think people watch Jeezy to listen to all the songs they liked 20 years ago.
Do you think that was a conscious decision on Jeezy's behalf to like kind of fall back from rap?
From rap? I mean, he's still touring all the time.
But I'm just saying, as like dropping new projects and actually trying to be like that guy. It doesn't seem like he hasn't.
Whoever does that well into their 40s, it almost never happens.
He's probably pushing 50 at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's just is what it is. You accept the reality of your age and the audience.
I think that like if you're a committed enough young Jeezy fan that you're still going to go to his show in 2025, you're probably not going to really care about this snitching allegation. Maybe if like the most rock solid proof ever came out, it could make a dent. I feel like the respect from your peers and how many other people are willing to work with you is probably something that would be more tangible when it comes to somebody like Jeezy, because obviously like he's been successful music-wise. The odds of him ever having like a big hit record are less than 1% ever going forward. Yeah. But ultimately, Jeezy's kind of isolated as well. Like I can't really think of that many rappers that are really around him or that he would be working. I'm sure he could. The question is just if they would not going forward because of this type of thing.
I mean, he's not like a little baby that's still in the mix and still with all the hottest. He's not like a Kendrick at this point. I think Jeezy's Jeezy, and I don't think really anyone gives a shit. At this point, I don't think anyone really gives a shit at all, including him.
For sure, there's never been a better time to be a snitch, because 20 years ago, if you had this kind of accusation, I felt like it might be enough to do you in. And at this point, it just sort of blends into this backdrop of so many other people having cooperated in a variety of ways.
I look at this as just another version of being canceled. And you could only be canceled if you just decide to just fall out of the public eye and stop putting out content, whether it's music, videos, art, whatever else. Gunna said, I'm just going to go and start working. I'm not going to talk about it. He hasn't done a single interview about it. He has not done a single interview since he got locked up. But he dropped big songs, big albums, does big shows, and look what happened.
Shout out to Everything 420. It's like the Amazon for everything that you need.
Smash that like button, man, and hit that subscribe button. Yeah. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Ah, man. Yeah, I can't go with that one. I'm just keeping it a buck. I can't go with that one. Them trying to say Jeezy told. Nah. It ain't adding up to me. The guy trying to sell a book, we can see that's what it is. And it's crazy. Yeah. That's all it is. Straight up. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button, man. Share this live, man. Yeah. I appreciate all y'all that rock with SBGB TV, man. And yeah. We going all the way in. And if you're a member of the channel, put a 1 in the chat. I appreciate all y'all, man. And yeah, we're gonna get up out of here. You know, I gotta get up and take care of something. Morning, afternoon type. So we're gonna get up out of here. And make sure you subscribe, share the live. I appreciate all y'all that rock with SBGB TV. Go check out the merch, sbgbtv.com. You know, I appreciate everybody that be here rocking with DZ, man. And we are nonstop, you know. I gotta start hitting these lives on these topics as well too. So I'd say, man, I need to start doing like, you know, 2, 3 other lives during the day, you know, about things that's going on, you know, straight up. He said, this is the biggest thing I hate about the internet is that these weirdos can put any dirt on somebody's name with no care in the world. Shaking my head. Yeah, I agree with that, Chrissy. I agree with that. Allison. Wab Funk. You know, I appreciate all y'all, man. Hit that subscribe button, man. Smash the like button. That's the foul thing about the internet. Definitely, man. They be sitting there lying on people and because they got a platform, knowing that, you know, these people aren't gonna respond. That's what they do. They know Jeezy ain't gonna respond to them, man. They talking about, come on, man. Like, stop. They know it. Jeezy ain't doing no responding to these people. None. For what? Yeah. It's like we on different planets, nigga. I'm not responding to you. C. Brown. Run the table. Yeah, they know Jeezy ain't responding. They put a bad bone on the nigga for content, and they run the narrative, all that the nigga snitching. But to let it alone say anything about Wack. They sit there with Wack the whole time, rocking with this dude, doing content with him. Wack the line loose cannon up there, brought the heat to the job, got you under a lawsuit. And none of these dudes say anything about the real snitch. That's what's crazy. Latrice, Vlad be dealing with him, doing content with him too. Suspect number 4. But none of these dudes say anything about the real police. But they know that they got a platform and they can spin a narrative and a lie. So they'll just say the lie out there. Yeah, we'll say it. So what? But this how you know they not doing real content. All their content be like fake, man. Straight up. All their content be like lies and, you know, BS, man. And it's crazy that, you know, the world is so influenced by these dudes doing this. The world is so influenced by these people just putting the fake content out there and lying. Making it look real. That's corny though. I ain't even gonna lie, man. That stuff is corny. Yeah. You gotta be a fake content creator with lies and manipulation, you know, for people to want to watch. Like, how did they program our brain like that? You know, because that gotta be some sort of programming. For real. There has to be some sort of programming that we are intrigued by lies. And we go with the lies instead of the truth. We want to hear the lies over the truth, man. I mean, I'm just glad that, you know, I ain't like that. That's one thing I'm never getting like that. Straight up. I'm not running lies. You know, I never been the type of person to go along and get along, and I never been like that. So I know deep down that I would never follow that regimen because it's corny. It's certified corny that these dudes do it, and they just do it carelessly, right? Yeah. But the stuff that they do, they don't want nobody to say nothing about it. Like, you know, and they be like inside with it and don't say nothing about it. And we definitely should be talking about Vlad over there letting Wax spin the lies, because he said it on when he tried to bail Keefe D out. You know, Wax said he spin the lies over there. He spin the lies on Adam No Jumper. He spin the lies on academics. It's like, it's just a whole bunch of lies being spent. You know, and that's what they do. They just spinning lies every day for content. No truth in it at all. But this would keep us lost. This is why we don't have, you know, the knowledge that we should have, because the lies is what's consuming the brain. You know what I mean? Straight lies. But if we had positive, strong information, and that was what we was programmed on, we would elevate more. But they got us programmed on paying attention to the lies, man. This what y'all pay attention to. This what y'all keep circulating. This what y'all need to be worried about, these lies. Don't worry about no truthful stuff and how to elevate your life. No, that's too much for you. That's too much. Like, right, here, smoke on this bud, take this alcohol, and focus on these lies, and you'll be all right. You know, we want to keep you down at the bottom so you can't get up never. And you just pulling each other back. But yeah, man, smash that like button, man. Hit the subscribe button. Share the live, man. You know, man, I appreciate y'all. Go check out the merch, sbgbtv.com. And it's a lot of sucker stuff going on, man. And I see, you know, it's weird though. You know, this is why a lot of people behind the game, man. Yeah, the lies. But you know, SBGB TV ain't never going that route. And we gonna climb and build it up the way we do. If you want us to promote anything for you, email me at sbgbtv.com, man. You know, I appreciate you, man. Right, man. Shout out to all the people that rock with SBGB TV. If you would like to become a member, it's only $3.99. And I appreciate all y'all that support and rock with SBGB TV, man. Hit that like button, subscribe, all that, man. Appreciate all y'all, man. Y'all know what it is, man. It's not about the setback. It's about the get back. Now.